Hello guys, welcome again to Chris's Caribbean Delights, and today we're gonna make some cross buns, some hot cross buns. It's that time of the year, it's coming on to Easter, and I know everybody would love some hot cross buns. I'm gonna make this with a twist. I'm gonna use some coconut milk, and we have some melted butter, and we have some sugar. I'm using half brown sugar and half 2 tablespoons of brown sugar and 2 tablespoons of white sugar. Here I'm gonna have some mace, some ground nutmeg, and some clove powder. Here I have my yeast, which I'm going to put into the warm milk and let that proof. I have here some cherries. We're gonna use some cherries, and we're gonna use some raisins, and I have some currants. I found some currants, so I'm gonna use those too. Vanilla bean paste. We're going to use a teaspoon of vanilla bean paste, and I love to mix it with some almond essence, just to bring that bring up the flavor. We're going to also add some lemon zest in there, just to offset the sweet if there is. So let's set our yeast and get it proofed. I have some sugar. I have a tablespoon of sugar in the milk already. So that's to help with the proofing of the yeast. So we're gonna leave the yeast for about 10 minutes and just let it get proofed, and let's see if it works. Once it works, we'll go from there. So we'll set this aside, we'll set the yeast aside and let that proof. We have our butter here, our other dry ingredients. We're going to put these dry ingredients in here, which is the nutmeg and the clove powder and the mace. I'm going to put that in there, and let's put the sugar in. Okay, so we're going to get this all mixed together with a whisk. We have sugar, we have flour. I have 4 cups of flour here. I'm going to leave all the measurements in the description box below, so you guys can have the thing. So I'm going to make this with a twist. I'm going to put last year I did a red cross on there. I'm going to do maybe a red and a white cross. I'm going to try to jazz it up a little, but we're going to see as we get down further once everything is done. So I want to cut these up, make it a little smaller, the cherries a little smaller, maybe even the raisins a little smaller. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll be back. Well, I just dropped the raisins and the cherries in the food processor and just give it a chop, and now we just add this here to the dry ingredients. And we just want this to be incorporated with the flour. So we're going to give this a mix and just make sure it separates. Okay, that seems to be doing fine. So once our yeast is proof, we're going to add the wet ingredients into the dry ingredients, and we'll go on from there. And the yeast is proofed, it's working well, and we'll just add the liquid ingredients into the dry ingredients. In the butter, this is the butter I have here, melted butter, 1 stick of melted butter, and I have 1 teaspoon of vanilla bean paste in there, vanilla bean paste, and a little bit of almond essence. You'll mix that in. Let's start this mixture, and this is the yeast and the coconut milk with the yeast. Now we're going to give this a thorough mix until the dough comes together. We'll just keep mixing. When the dough comes together, I'll be back. And here we have our dough coming together here nicely. Just want to get everything all mixed in properly. And this is the consistency you're looking for. Just make sure there are no dry pockets of flour in there. And it might be a little sticky, but don't add any more flour to it. Just use some oil, oil your hands, and use some oil to get it to bring it together, and you'll be great. You'll be good. So let me get some oil on my hands, and we'll finish the process with the dough. Let's spray some oil in there. Oil both hands. And we'll just put it together. We'll just bring it together nicely. And we'll let it rest for about an hour. There we go. And we let it rest for an hour, and I'll be back. So, after about an hour, I'll just, it has doubled in size. So, we'll now just make our shape our buns off. You can make them how large or how small you want them. But just make them like a regular bun size. I have a pan here that's I lined with some parchment paper, and I sprayed it with some non-stick spray, so shouldn't have anything sticking. And after we finish with this, we're just going to let them rise again for maybe about 30 minutes or so. Let them rest again. We have to let that gluten relax. Let it rest again for about 30 minutes or so before we put them in the oven. So whilst it's resting, I'm going to prepare the the cross, because I'm going to put the cross on just before it goes into the oven. I'll prepare that cross, and then and also prepare the glaze. We're going to do a little glaze where we're going to just some sugar and water glaze. I'm going to get that together. So I'll continue with this, and then I'll be back. I'll just use a half a cup of flour, because I just have maybe about 12. Yeah, a half a cup of flour. Oh, I didn't pour it all out. And we'll slowly add some water to this to bring it to a consistency that we want. It's usually very bland, so I found if I just add just a teaspoon or so of sugar into this mixture for the cross, for the white cross that I'm going to put on the buns, it makes it more palatable, more edible, because it's usually just a stiff piece of dough with no taste. So you either can eat it or you can't, or you don't. So in order to enjoy the entire bun, just put a little sugar into the cross also, and just let that have some flavor, some taste. So we'll add our water and bring it to the consistency that we want. Then we'll pipe those crosses on there. So we'll just start with like a quarter cup of water and give this a mix. You don't want it too stiff. You want it to be able to be piped through a piping bag onto the bun. So that's a quarter cup, and consistency needs to be just a little thinner. Yeah, and that's the consistency you're looking for. So just about a three quarter cup of water to a half a cup of flour, and just put a teaspoon of sugar in there. I just will beat it until it gets nice and smooth, and then put it in a piping bag, and we'll pipe it onto the buns. So this is what you're looking for. Just putting the batter for the cross into the piping bag. I usually would use a glass, and I rest the piping bag in the glass, and then so it's easier to pour like that. And let's get some crosses done then. Cool. So that's one part. Let's turn on the other side. Perfect. And in order for us to remember that he had shed his blood for us, I like to add a little bit of red onto the cross. It's the same batter, but I just add some color to it. And I'm using a smaller piping tube to get that on there. You don't have to put a lot, just maybe a touch, just to brighten it up and to remind us of the blood. And there we have it. Our hot cross buns, reminding us of the blood of Jesus that he had shed for us. So now we'll go into the oven 350 degrees for about 25 to 30 minutes. So here I'm making the glaze. I have 2 tablespoons of sugar in here and 2 tablespoons of water, and I'm going to just let it reduce until it thickens a little before I start brushing the buns, the hot cross buns. They're done, they're out of the oven, and this is what it looks like. We just have to glaze them and we can dig right in. So here we are, guys, the finished product. Nicely glazed, the hot cross buns. A real Guyanese hot cross buns with a twist. You can see the red cross on the top, a red and a white cross. The red cross reminds us of the blood that Jesus shed for us during his time on earth. And this is nice and soft. It's awesome. So let's take a bite out of this. Serving it up with some cheese. This is fantastic. Heavenly. Heavenly. awesome. Once again, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next clip.